It's done already. It's already done. No, it's good. So we lost a few people already. You're the hardcore crowd. Must be something else. So let's look at the radiance of this on our 3D experience. There's a radiance to this work. And that the very important thing, we're squeaking again. Okay, I'm going to hold it up.
We don't. Yeah. You do.
I'm very sensitive to squeaking. Earlier I said that unless this work, whatever this is, alchemy, impacts our 3D experience, just drop it. That's the barometer. The barometer is, how does this impact my life experience? And I don't want the impact to happen like afterwards when I die, or I want the impact now in my experience. I want to impact the quality of my experience. And one of the ways that we can gauge the impact of this work is on what happens in our family, right? It's very easy to gauge the impact of your so-called spiritual work. You know, there's that saying, if you think you're enlightened, go home for Thanksgiving. And what that alludes to is that it doesn't matter how groovy you think you are on the spiritual path, and what a groovy spiritual person you are. If you go home, your family will tell you exactly how much progress you've made. That's their job. That's their job. Right? So, the family represent particular attributes. If you want to know what cross you have to bear, it's usually the family. If you look at the shape of the cross, then you have father, mother, sister, brother. That's the only cross you'll ever really have to bear. And as an alchemist, it's a very important part of the journey, right? So there are kind of telltale signs if you are born into this world an alchemist, because the nature of this work is, it's not for everybody. Very few people become involved in alchemy. It doesn't require everybody because the impact of it is so intense. It doesn't require everyone to enter it. For example, how many people were at a sporting event tonight? Millions. And how many people were at a political rally? Thousands. And how many people were talking about emotional integration? 70. So we must be real about this, right? Not everyone is going to come to this work. And the thing about it, when you do get this work, you want everyone to do it. It's kind of a, right? But actually, I do unto myself as I would have others do. That's the essence of alchemy. The alchemist can be recognized in that the alchemist is born into the family. And An alchemist is born into this world having an evolved capacity to feel. And what that translates as a child, it feels like you're living with aliens or extraterrestrials. Because you can feel stuff going on that's obvious to you, but everyone appears to be oblivious of it. And when you behave according to that, they go like, get over it and get on with your life. Right? And an alchemist will often ask during childhood, may wonder whether they were adopted and no one's telling them. Because they're like with really weird people. These people are weird. My family. Right? And so what will happen, that's where the term the black sheep of the family comes from. The black sheep of the family is the alchemist. Right? And what happens is, as soon as that individual they leave the family. I get the hell out of there, right? I'm out of here. Bye. Different country, right? And then they'll run off and look for like-minded. Right? And so I go and look for the metaphysical, for the people working on their macabres, and doing the Reiki, and doing the aromatherapy. Anything that's like kind of weird and not normal. I want to do that. That makes more sense to me than this other stuff, right? And then kind of do that for a while and figure it all out. Oh, I figured it all out. I figured it all out. Now I'm going to go back to my family. I'm coming home to fix you all. I know what's wrong with you and I've arrived to fix you all. That's the Thanksgiving dinner that doesn't go so well. When they're not interested in your revelations and insights and understandings, they just go like, get a job, get on with life, get real, right? And then you leave again, tail between your legs, right? And now you can begin the work. Because when you do the work of alchemy, your family is not supposed to join you in the work. One of them might. If you're lucky, you'll be born in a family where there's 2 alchemists. Right? But generally, everyone else in the family's job, they're ascended masters. The rest of your family. They already know everything. And their task as ascended masters is to show you where you're unintegrated. And they know how to do that. They know how to walk past you and go, right? That's their job. That's their job. The thing is, we have to do our job. And our job isn't to fix them. It's to pay attention to the buttons that they're pushing. Right? Because a family has a specific structure. And it's consistent with the pathway of awareness. Vibrational, emotional, mental, physical. There are only 4 aspects to a family. The father, the mother, the sister, the brother. Those are the 4 aspects. The father is the vibrational. The mother is the physical. The emotional is the sister. The mental is the brother. If you want to know the condition of these 4 attributes within yourself, go home for Thanksgiving. You will find out what condition they're in. If we are in dissonance with our Father, because the Father is about guidance. We always go to the Father for guidance. Father, give me guidance, right? And it's called the Father because we think it's the farthest thing away from us. The mother is about nurturing. It's the mother, how she reveals herself. She nurtures you as you come into this life. She's about nurturing. The sister is related to the emotional body. The sister is about healing. Because when we really want to heal, we go and impact the condition of our emotional body. And the brother is about lessons, the life lessons, the mental lessons. The things we come here to understand and insights and stuff, that's all to do with the brother. So our relationship with our family shows within us the condition of these attributes within us. It reveals to us the work. So if I'm in discord with my relationship with my father, or my stepfather, whoever's playing the role of father, it's related to where I am not prepared to accept my own guidance as valid. I still think someone else has got to show me. Only when I accept my own guidance as valid will that relationship come into harmony. And it won't come into harmony by me discussing things with my father, or doing things to my father, or telling my father to do things, or trying to get him to change physically, or changing my physical behavior around him, or any story I tell myself about what's going on. Because if I'm in dissonance with my father, it's related to an emotional signature that comes up whenever I'm around him, or whenever he comes into my awareness. It's the emotional signature. The point of healing is always in the emotional body. Only when I allow that emotional signature to come up into my awareness, it's going to be fear, anger, or grief, and I allow that emotional signature related to my father to come up into my awareness until I can digest it, will I be able to be with my father without placing any conditions on him. Simple as that. Until I'm able to that. Fear, anger, and grief. Look at fear, anger, and grief as nutrition to enliven being. It has to be digested, not vomited out into the world. Digest it, and we digest it by containing it, by being with it. It will digest organically, right? It's the same with my mother, right? My mother is about nurturing. Wherever I'm in dissonance with my mother, it's where I'm refusing to take responsibility for my own nurturing. And usually, the causal point will be emotional nurturing. Not necessarily physical and mental, but if I do not know how to nurture myself emotionally, it will be reflected in my thoughts about myself. It will be reflected in physical behavior that is the opposite of nurturing. So the example that I like to share on this is when I arrived back after 9 years of going and figuring out my pain and figuring all this out, and doing Reiki and working in the Native American church, taking care of the fire, and all these fascinating, traveling to Mexico and being with the wheat chill. And after 9 years, I went back to South Africa for the first time. So my mother invites me over for lunch, right? So off I go. We're sitting down there and she asks the question, right? So what have you been doing for the past 9 years? I'm ready to fall for it. Like that, right? Well, I begin. An hour and a half's oration. Fire chief in the Native American church. Reiki master, extraction of consciousness from a time-based paradigm, discovery of the pathway of awareness, emotional body integration. When I was done, she ate her food, listened. And when I was done, she just looked over me and said, "So you mean you've been doing nothing for 9 years?" That's when I learned the meaning of discernment. Discernment, the definition I have of discernment is, you never lie to your mother, you just don't tell her everything. Right? And what I realized from experiences like that is the only reason I was telling her all of the stuff, which at the time she was completely not interested in, was to get validation. I wanted someone else to validate my experience. I could not nurture myself. I could not validate myself emotionally, right? So the tool that I discovered to work with this was the mirror. Because we go to a mirror every day. There's always a mirror. There's a mirror at the back of the room. Everywhere we go, there are mirrors. This is a hall of mirrors that we live in. Every day we're going to go to the bathroom and there's going to be a mirror. So I learned to use the mirror because what I realized is that when I look in the mirror, there's a part of me that doesn't know it's me. It just sees someone else looking back. And it watches how that person is towards me. It watches, because that person's always showing up, and how are they behaving? They always show up every morning, every time I go, they show up, how are they behaving? You know what? They never talk to me. They never talk, they never look me in the eye. Right? They never talk to me. So I realized I never tell myself anything. If something good happens, I pick up the phone. You know what happened to me? It's fantastic. Make me feel good about it. Come on. Right? Something bad happens, I pick up the phone. I'm so horrible. Comfort me now. Right? But I wouldn't never tell myself. So I started telling myself what was going on. You know? I go to myself and say, listen, I know you freaked out about what Mom did today. She killed you, right? But you're a good guy. Let me tell you what, the last 9 years have been profound. I know it's profound, so I'm going to tell you how profound it is. It's profound what you've accomplished, right? Tell myself. And even now, I'm going to go back to my hotel room tonight, and I'm going to walk into that bathroom, because we always go into the bathroom every day, right? And when I go in there and go past the mirror, I'm going to go, you're the man. You're the man. You're the guy. What a presentation. Phenomenal. Because if I don't do that for myself, I will develop unconscious behavior to get you to do it for me. And if things don't go well, if it's like a real mess and I can't remember anything and it's like, people are going, oh, I'll go back and I'll go, look, you messed up. Like, it was a mess, right? But don't worry about it, right? I'm still here. If I have a problem in my life that comes up, right? I'll go to the mirror and I'll go, don't worry, I'll take care of it. I messed up, but I'll take care of it. You know, I always take care of it. I'll take care of it, right? Because if I don't, I'll manifest unconscious behavior to get someone else to take care of it. I'll go to hospital so I can get some sympathy if I don't give it to myself, right? I learned to nurture myself every day, consistently, not because something's happening, because being at the causal point, because I'm there. You know, it's like, what type of parent only goes to their child when the child is crying or when the child is upset? What type of parent only acknowledges a child when there's something wrong? Don't you just acknowledge the child just because it's there? It's the same with myself. Do I only acknowledge myself when something's wrong or something's good? Don't I acknowledge myself just because I happen to be there? Right? So I learned to nurture myself in that way. Until the point that by the time I got the Presence Process published, I don't need anyone to tell me it's a good book. I already told myself. The first thing I do when I get a new book is I take the book and I go to the mirror and I go, check it out! You're the man! You do this! Do that! You got an E in English and check it out! Right? Because if I don't, I will expect other people to do it for me. And I manifest all sorts of unconscious drama to get that. Like my mother going, well, looks like you've done nothing for 9 years, right? That's a sucker punch from the universe, saying, I'm not the one who's supposed to be impressed by that. You are. You're the one who's been doing it. Why should I be impressed? You spent 9 years doing that stuff. You be impressed, right? And so as I worked on that in myself, and I found the emotional signature of fear, especially of fear, you know, when you want acknowledgement from other people, that fear of not being liked and accepted and all of that stuff, right? Going and I felt that signature and I allowed that to move through. And as I worked on that, my relationship with my mother transformed. But I didn't change her physically. I didn't mentally go into any debate or discussion with her. But the way I related to her and the way I perceived her relating towards me transformed. But actually, she is still the same person today that she was when I wanted to, like, throttle her. She's still the same person, except I don't go to her and expect her to play the role of mother. I am my mother. I am my father. I am my brother. I have my mental body to be the brother, but to keep it in line. I have my sister, where I go for healing. I am made complete. Everyone is complete in themselves. We were all made in the image, complete. And to expect my mother to play the role of mother my whole life is unfair. It's unfair and unrealistic, because this, my bag, this bottle, this recorder, everything came from the earth. Everything came from the earth and was given to me as I require it. To expect my mother to fulfill that role, she can't be the mother. There is already a mother, right? And the father, to expect a male, specific male person to be my father all my life, when everything I require is provided for me, or things that I didn't even know I required are provided, coming to me from what I call my father. No single man can do that job, right? So this structure, the thing about this work is, it's going to bring us what we require, not what we need and want. When we hold a family together, playing those roles, those needy, sticky roles that cause unpleasant Thanksgiving meals, that's the inauthentic family, held together by emotional signatures that we share, by dysfunction. There are only dysfunctional families, right? What causes a group of souls to come together and cling to each other is because they share a condition in the emotional body. They share an emotional imprint. And when the alchemist stands in the center and works on these signatures until they're resolved, the family is set free of having to play those sticky, needy roles. And people, then your family, once you've worked on the emotional signature, they don't have to go through the behaviors to reflect that to you. You set them free of having to be that way, to show you what's going on inside of you. You're the one who has to make the transformation, not them. Their job is to show you what's to be transformed. They're the mirrors. In the Gnostic Gospels, Jesus says, I do not come to bring peace to this world. I come with sword, fire, war. I come to cleave father from son. I'm come to break up your families, because it's not your true family. We're all family. We're all brothers and sisters. That's the true family. That's the true family. And what happens is, when you do this work, you'll dismantle those inauthentic role plays and become equals with your family. They become other souls on a journey like you. And everyone becomes your family. It breaks that, just like the initial work that we do on our own emotional signature when we start working on our upsets. It's also going to dismantle a relationship. And that relationship is going to be, from the time we're a child and our being is of no value in this world, we start figuring out what we can do to feel good, to be accepted, to be acknowledged, to be safe. What do I do? And out of those doings, we create a persona, a complete false persona. And not only does the world relate to that false persona, but we also have a relationship with it. We're talking to it all the time. I don't know why you keep doing this, and I don't agree with you, and you're an idiot, and you never get it. We're having a relationship with that persona. That relationship has to be dismantled too. That's the first relationship that has to be dismantled. The relationship I am having, my being, with the doer who's trying to make me feel better. And unless I do that work on myself and give myself the experience of impacting my emotional signature and seeing the consequence, I can't really start the family work. Because when you go into the family and do this work, they're really going to show you. And when you work on those emotional signatures, then you're taking another step. You're taking a step in the direction of the third story. So we told the first story, which is the bad story. The sad, sad story, right? And then we tell the good story. The good story comes out of emotional integration. As we integrate these emotional signatures. From integration comes disintegration. From the disintegration of these artificial structures that have been set up, that we function, structures set up by the mental body, these family structures, clinging to a particular group of souls in a needy, wanting way. There's nothing healthy about it for anyone involved in that relationship. When we set them free through integrating the emotional signatures, everyone in that experience rises to their highest potential. They rise to their highest potential. And that's what I mean by impacting the 3D experience. If this work does not impact your family situation, drop it. Because that's a barometer of the impact of alchemy, is that it will transform what's happening in your family. And things will happen in there without you doing anything about it. It's what you're being that counts. And then, once you headway into that work, now you can enter another level of the work, right? The third level. The final layer, the bottom of the barrel, where the really sticky stuff is, right? Which is the intimacy work you do consciously with a companion. And that work is not about romance and wine and flowers and can I intimidate you until we get married. Well, we call it dating, but actually it's intimidating. That work is about manipulation, right? Manipulation. That's when we come together with someone with the intent to completely remove the structures we are placing on another being and saying, you will play this role and I will play this role, and this is how we get what we want in the world. This is how I get what I need and want. And that's a very intense journey to enter with someone. If someone, this is the journey of intimacy. I'm going to go on a journey with you to see deeper into myself, into my own way in which my mental and emotional body are relating to each other. Because all the suffering in the world comes from suppression of an awareness of this and manipulating it to get a certain feeling. Manipulating it to get a certain feeling. If I force myself on a woman so I can have an orgasm, what's that called? But if I intimidate her and eventually buy her a ring and buy her a house and marry her so I can have an orgasm, what's that called?
Love.
But energetically it's still rape. In fact, if I manipulate any experience in my life to get a desired outcome so that I feel better about what's going on, I'm behaving in that way. I'm behaving in that way. And when I come together to work with another human being on the journey of intimacy, this is not about romance and flowers and the knight riding off with the princess. That's all the program. We don't realize, but by the time we are 7 years old, we are already programmed according to what love is. Love to us is a series of conditions which brings about a certain feeling. And those conditions will be applied, whether we're conscious of it or unconscious of it. And the evidence of that is, for example, a person who's in an abusive relationship where they are getting physically abused. You can go to that person and say, why don't you leave? And they'll say, because that person loves me. I'm staying because they really love me. And they're speaking the truth. Because if you go and look in their emotional body, as a child they were physically abused. And the sensation, the emotional signature that came out of being abused is what they associate with love. And so they might begin with wine and roses, but they will quickly navigate themselves into an experience in which the outcome is the same felt experience as they had as a child. Do you think someone who's a pedophile is doing this just because that's how they are? If you go and look into that person's childhood experience, you will see something really messed up going on with that child. That their emotional signature, their emotional signature, what they equate with the feeling of love, is to be a pedophile. That's the only way they can get the feeling that was imprinted into them as a child. That is set in all of us by the time we're 7. And then we also have other indoctrinations that happen, other programs. Like a woman, right? From a little girl, you're given a doll. It's saying, you are going to be a breeder. And when you're feeling sad, the doll is put in your hands. In other words, when you grow up to be an adult and things don't work your way, just have a child. Maybe that'll help. It's a program. We're indoctrinated in that marriage is the happy ending. How many women believe that unless they get married, there's something wrong with them? And after they get married, they realize there's something wrong with them. What the hell did I do? Who is this person? Right? It happens as a program because when our emotional body is unintegrated and we cannot nurture ourselves and take care and give ourselves emotionally what we require, we are literally leaning over. And we'll find someone leaning over in the equal and opposite direction, and we'll lean on them and go, "Oh, that feels so good. Oh, won't you marry me?" Right? It's a program. It happens unconsciously. Absolutely unconsciously. And then there's role play. There's mental, emotional role play. Remember where we are. Right? Be very clear about where we live. We live in a realm in which the mental body parades as God. It believes it is God. It says, "I think, therefore I am." Thought creates. Thought creates? The mental body is the creative point of reality? Come on. Right? But it believes it. And you can see the manifestation is the mental body controls the emotional body and manipulates it to get what it wants. It's the same as using a woman to sell products. Prostitution. It's the same as religions telling you, you cannot get married. You go off and be alone in a monastery. I will control that woman. It's the same as you will dress this. You will behave this way. I'm going to have 10 wives. That's the politicians, mostly men. The religious leaders, mostly men. Be very aware of where we are. We're in a place where the mental body believes that it is God. And when we come in to do the work of intimacy, it's about realigning this behavior. It's about realigning this behavior. If we even look in our religious contexts, right, what our religions echo back to us. We have Mother Mary, the matter, the Mother Mary. We have Jesus, the mental body. We have Joseph, the Father, or God the Father. We also have the devil somewhere around. And so we don't have an emotional body. We don't have an emotional body. In fact, the emotional body, the representative for the emotional body is Mary Magdalene, who is the source of sin and the downfall of the mental. If you just controlled your emotional body, mentally you would be fine, right? So in the world, you have some choices according to these archetypes. You can either be a mother, or you can be a prostitute. You can be a man with no balls who's attached to his mother, or you can be someone who was in the back doing carpentry while the conception actually happened. It's ridiculous. Yeah. Or you can be a devil. You can be a devil. Or you can be just non-available altogether. Absent. The fathers are just absent. Those are the archetypes as reflected back to us, right? But you go and tell this arrangement that the causal point of the quality of the experience is this. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. That the Magdalene is the causal point of the quality of the experience. But what is the Magdalene? What is a woman? If she's not a prostitute or a mother or a nun, what is a woman? Or behaving like a man so she can be equal? Behaving like someone who doesn't even know who he is, because what is a man? Right? What is a man? Is he a guy with no balls who's attached to his mother, or is he a devil, or is he this absent-minded person in the back who's not really involved in much? These are the archetypes out of this arrangement in which the mental is running as God. Those are the way the archetypes manifest. The work of intimacy with another human being is not about getting married and creating a structure around two people so that they can contain their emotional signature to a point where they can have children and then pass it on to somebody else. It's not about that. It's not about one person manipulating another so that they can feel good. It's not about taking a human being and raping them over and over and over until there's no intimacy, until there's just numbness. It's not about that. It's about discovering what a man is and what a woman is. Because that's the third story. The third story is not about good and bad. The third story is more a mythology. What is your mythology? Why are you really here? You think you're here to have babies? Do you think you're here to earn a living? You're already alive. Why are we here? And no one can tell you what that is for you. Nobody. You first have to get beyond the first and the second story, the good and the bad. And then break these structures. First integration and then disintegration. Marriage is a structure. And if you're in it at the moment, you also have another cross to bear. We are where we are. It's from where we are that we awaken, right? Not from being somewhere else. Don't go, I wish we have to see where we are. It's from where we are, from the point that we are in each moment that we awaken. Everyone is where they are supposed to be. That's the thing about this work. You don't have to seek out the next aspect of this work. It will be brought to you by the next moment that you get upset. We'll show you the next step you take in this work. And if you follow that, if you just follow your experience and let your experience be true for you, valid, and listen to it and feel it and don't place condition on it and accept it as your teaching, as your teacher, it will lead you from the first to the second and into the third story. Into the third story. And the third story is so big that you don't even want to tell it to somebody else. You'll keep it for yourself. You'll contain it. Because when you tell it to someone else, it'll be like, I'm babbling. What I'm really here about, why I as a soul am in this world, it's got nothing to do with paying taxes and stuff. Although that's part of it, but that's part of the first and second and grounding. But there's another story. A story of absolute immense possibility beyond the structures that confine us into roles. But we first have to liberate ourselves from this role internally of manipulating our own emotional body, of suppressing it and sedating it and manipulating it to get a feeling that we think will make us feel better. It's not about feeling better, it's about getting better at feeling. Because as you awaken your feeling capacity step by step, moment by moment, what happens is you become open to the heart. You don't have to open your heart, become open to it. The heart is always open. We just have to be open to it. And when we open to the heart is a hinge. It's a hinge that sees into this world and this world. It has the capacity to enter both. The mental body doesn't. It can't go here. Nor can the physical body go there. Once we integrate the emotional body, the heart takes us into awareness of this. To be in the world, but not of it. To be in the world, but not of it. And an actual experiential awareness. That's your third story. What's that about for you? And no one can tell that to you. That's something that is revealed to you through insight, not through understanding. And that's why we do the intimacy work, to free each other. Love frees. It doesn't bind to another structure. It frees. You work together to free each other of all condition. Until all there is space. Space is grace. Right? Freedom, space. But that's to be revealed through your own story of what that's about. Don't let anyone else impose you their story or their third story upon you. You each have your own, as individual and as unique as your current life experience. And that's my story. So it's 9 o'clock. I know we're supposed to be here till, is it really 9 o'clock? Damn. We traversed the whole universe in a couple of hours, right? So are you interested in doing some questions and answers? Okay, well, let's take a break, about a 5 or 10 minute break, and then those of you that would want to do questions and answers, the rest of you can like get the hell out of here. And then and those of you wanting to do some questions and answers, we'll do that afterwards. All right?